Hello, everyone. Now, Canada is known as the land of opportunity, a place where people come and build better lives. But for thousands of international students, that dream is starting to feel a bit more like a struggle. The big question is why? What's happening to the Canadian dream? Canada has been admired for its promise of being a very welcoming country. But after talking to a bunch of international students, I realized that the reality isn't always as rosy. Take Anjali, for example, a student from India. She came here full of hope, her family sponsoring her education, but within months, that hope turned into stress, financial problems, housing challenges, and mental health issues. Sadly, Anjali's story is not unique. There are thousands of such stories all around us. Before we look at the problem, let's break down how the system works for international students. First, you apply for a study permit to study at a Canadian college or a university. And after graduating, you apply for a postgraduate work permit. The main pathways to permanent residency is through express entry. You can also apply through provincial nominee program if the province that you live in nominates you based on local job needs. Here's the catch. COVID-19 disrupted everything. Thousands of students arrived between 2020 and 2023. But immigration backlogs, job market saturation, and housing shortages made their dreams harder to achieve. In a way, the pandemic changed the game. Canada opened its doors to more international students with relaxed visa policies. And soon, thousands arrived. But the system could not handle the surge. Colleges and universities, especially private ones, started over-recruiting, packing classrooms beyond capacity. And during the pandemic, many students paid high tuition fees only to end up in front of a Zoom screen. Now, they're getting far less than what they expected. Schools promised quality education, job opportunities, and an easy path to permanent residency. But the reality was very, very different. Aggressive recruitment practices misled many students, and they found themselves in overcrowded programs facing uncertainty about their futures. Also, we need to talk about what international students go through once they arrive in Canada. They face a number of challenges. Let's start with mental health. Now, imagine being far away from home, working long hours, and trying to excel in school. The mental pressure is enormous, and many students feel isolated and overwhelmed. Mental health resources at schools are often stretched thin or don't exist in the first place. For many international students, this silent struggle is a big part of their experience. Also, adapting to a new culture is tough. International students often struggle to fit in, make friends, or understand how things work. There can be language barriers to different teaching styles, and obviously it's a very steep learning curve. Some students feel lost and alone in a completely foreign environment. But here's where things get worse. A lot of these educational institutions have been accused of exploiting international students. They recruit more students than they can handle, and more often than not, prioritize profit over education. During the pandemic, many students were left paying full tuition for minimal online learning. In some cases, it feels like these schools are selling immigration opportunities more than actual education. Also, international students pay 3 to 4 times more than a domestic students. And these educational institutions, by their own admission, say international students subsidize education for domestic students. One of the sectors which has been the worst hit because of the surge in international student is housing. Finding housing in cities like Toronto and Vancouver is another nightmare. Students end up in overcrowded apartments or shared rooms paying very high rents for subpar living conditions. The immigration system also makes things tough. After graduating, students need work experience to apply for a PR, which is why the post-graduation work permit or PGWP is so important. But finding a good job is not easy, as it used to be. And many students end up working low-wage jobs that don't even qualify towards permanent residency. To make matters worse, some students need an LMIA or Labor Market Impact Assessment to stay in Canada, which is a very difficult to get certificate, which requires that business to prove that no Canadian can do the job that they are applying for. The process is confusing and very costly, leaving students in a limbo. Despite all these challenges, international students are a huge economic asset to Canada. In 2019, they contributed over $22 billion through tuition, living expenses, and other spending. But Canada's reputation as a top destination for students is at risk. If things don't improve, students may start looking to other countries for education, and that will hurt not only Canada's economy, but also its talent pool. So, what was Canada's response to all of this? There have been talks about capping the number of international students. Now, these policies might help manage the system, but they don't address the real problems that the students face every single day. What's the final result? Well, a lot of unfulfilled promises. Students come to Canada expecting a world-class education, job opportunities, and in future an easy path to permanent residency. But the reality is overcrowded classrooms, financial stress, and a very confusing immigration system. For many, the dream of a better life feels further away than ever before. If things don't change, Canada's reputation as a top destination for international students will suffer. Word spreads very fast, and students may start choosing other countries where they get better value for their money and fewer hurdles in immigration. Canada risks losing not just economic contributions, but also the talent and the innovation these students bring. So, what's the future of the Canadian dream? Well, international students were meant to be part of a win-win system. Students get quality education and a new life, and Canada gets the skilled workers it needs. If these challenges aren't addressed, that dream could fade away. Can Canada fix this before it's too late? Or is the dream already slipping out of reach? And again, thank you for watching this video. If you liked the content, if you liked what we are talking about, please consider liking this video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.